Okay, so another topic that is like super late breaking, and this is probably one of the most unique ways that I've ever seen somebody get exposed for snitching. But basically, there was an FBI agent who made a TikTok talking about a case that he was involved with many years ago, and we could play the clip if you'd like. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the guy's name because he's pretty famous, and to be fair, he was never charged with a crime. But we had these two rappers in Atlanta in the early 2000s, and they were beefing with each other, trading diss tracks, the whole thing. Then rapper number one, the famous one, orders his goons to go beat up rapper number two and steal this gaudy gold and diamond necklace he wore in all of his videos, and that's where it got interesting. The goon squad shows up at rapper number two's place. He pulls a gun and starts shooting. One of the attackers gets hit, makes it about 200 yards away from the house before he drops dead. Rapper number two is arrested for murder, but is dismissed as self-defense. And the real criminal here is rapper number one, who ordered the violent act that got his man killed. I had the phone records and two witnesses prepared to testify for what would have been a rock-solid RICO murder case. But for reasons that were never explained to me, the U.S. Attorney's Office declined prosecution, and rapper number one went on to have a phenomenally successful career. Oh well, win some, lose some.
So basically, the allegation is that
he's talking about Jeezy and Gucci,
right? And Blue Da Vinci has kind of confirmed as well that there was this sort of like eerie switch up from Jeezy, where when the BMF takedown went down, that Jeezy at that point like ceased to have anything to do with BMF, never communicated with any of them ever after that. And so he's basically saying that they had, in his opinion, a rock solid case against Jeezy for the Gucci situation in which Pookie Loc got killed, but that was never pursued by the FBI, and that his best guess is basically that it was in exchange for Jeezy supplying information about BMF.
I missed that last part.
Okay, yeah.
Where is that last part?
You kind of need to connect the dots with like prior videos. There's like a Blue Da Vinci video where he goes into depth about how he feels very strongly that Jeezy snitched. And so that guy kind of like puts the details of it together of what his incentive to do so might have been, since Jeezy was the only one associated with BMF that basically ended up getting to skate free.
Well, what about there was multiple guys that went into that house?
Yeah, and I interviewed one of them, Young Throwback, who claimed that Gucci Mane, or I interviewed the guy who claims that he's the one who pulled the trigger and killed Pookie Loc.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Pookie Loc was with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't by himself.
Yeah, it was like two people that ran inside the crib.
So maybe the people who are cooperating were the two people that were part of the home invasion, and they were going to cooperate against Jeezy. You see what I'm saying? That's what I kind of implied from that.
The reason people think that this guy's implying that Jeezy actually did it, because in the comments, the two comments that he actually replied to was someone saying that the theory of the reason that Jeezy never got locked up was because of him providing evidence to the feds about the BMF shit. And that the guy who made this TikTok, he liked that theory, and then he's like, interesting theory. So people just speculating that that's why. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not like really just proven, but it's just the theory of like.
And it always did seem sort of bizarre that all this shit went down in front of our eyes, where Gucci basically ordered this situation that ended up in a murder, and that it was never pursued. I mean, even as like a real young rap fan, that always stood out to me. I was like, how the f- are they not pursuing that?
I mean, when it comes to situations like this, to convict someone of a murder for hire, it's a little tricky, especially when people are not cooperating. You see what I'm saying? So you need to get a unanimous, like the Hernandez Govan trial. They had a whole bunch of stuff set up. Yeah, they knew each other. They were talking, this, that, and the third. Oh, there was a reason. There's this, there's that. Jury came through with not guilty an hour later. It was like, there's no case here. So nobody wants to go into trial unless they have a rock solid case. Like, for example, like the whole David,
you've been paying attention to that?
Murder. I've been paying attention to that.
Yeah.
And it appears like they don't really have a way to tie him into the murder. There's circumstantial things. Yes, he knew her. She was underage. She was mentioned. There was a live stream. But how do you go from that to a chopped up dead body in your car? You have to really prove it, especially when the person has money and has lawyers. And at the time, Jeezy had money. just might not have been a strong enough case. So you just leave it as a cold case, hoping maybe at some point someone comes forward and brings some new information and so forth, because it could be a cold case for 20 years. They might still, if Jeezy really was responsible for that, they could still charge him next week, like whatever. I hope they don't, but people like to be armchair lawyer all they want, but when it comes to real trials and real cases, you got to really have your ducks in a row.
I mean, we've seen a lot of people get exposed for snitching in a variety of different ways. Like 1090 Jake feels very, very strongly that Larry Hoover told, and a lot of the proof is based on a 1964 newspaper article. Now we've got a former FBI agent who basically is just creating TikTok content and is probably going to get like $2 to $3 from the Chinese government as a result of putting this theory out there. So he might actually, we're really like not sure how this is going to play out or how much people are going to turn on Jeezy or whatever. Obviously, he's kind of in the.
I don't think
the main.
Anyone's going to give a shit.
You don't think?
I don't think anyone's going to give a shit. Honestly.
I mean, we've seen so much evidence of people not caring about snitching in general that at this point that it's kind of easy to imagine people leaving it alone.
But he's also sort of at the tail end of his career.
Yeah,
I think in a way. That's not a shot at Jeezy. I just think that he's not the guy that's going to drop the #1 album next year when he drops. I think that his fans will like it, and I think it'll chart somewhere. And there might be, depending on who he gets on a song, like let's say he gets Jay-Z for a feature, it might get kind of big, but it won't be. This is not the next J. Cole album. This is not the next Drake album. I think people watch Jeezy to listen to all the songs they liked 20 years ago.
Do you think that was a conscious decision on Jeezy's behalf to like kind of fall back from rap?
From rap? I mean, he's still touring all the time.
But I'm just saying, as like dropping new projects and actually trying to be like that guy. It doesn't seem like he hasn't.
Whoever does that well into their 40s, it almost never happens.
He's probably pushing 50 at this point. I think it just is what it is. You accept the reality of your age and the audience.
I think that like if you're a committed enough young Jeezy fan that you're still going to go to his show in 2025, you're probably not going to really care about this snitching allegation. Maybe if like the most rock solid proof ever came out, it could make a dent. I feel like the respect from your peers and how many other people are willing to work with you is probably something that would be more tangible when it comes to somebody like Jeezy, because obviously like he's been successful music-wise. The odds of him ever having like a big hit record are less than 1% ever going forward. Yeah. But ultimately, like, Jeezy's kind of isolated as well. Like, I can't really think of that many rappers that are really around him or that he would be working. I'm sure he could. The question is just if they would not going forward because of this type of thing.
I mean, he's not like a little baby that's still in the mix and still with all the hottest. He's not like a Kendrick at this point. I think Jeezy's Jeezy, and I don't think really anyone gives a shit at this point. I don't think anyone really gives a shit at all, including him.
For sure, there's never been a better time to be a snitch, because 20 years ago, if you had this kind of accusation, I felt like it might be enough to do you in. And at this point, it just sort of blends into this backdrop of so many other people having cooperated in a variety of ways.
I look at this as just another version of being canceled. And you could only be canceled if you just decide to just fall out of the public eye and stop putting out content, whether it's music, videos, art, whatever else. Gunna said, I'm just going to go and start working. I'm not going to talk about it. He hasn't done a single interview about it. He has not done a single interview since he got locked up. But he dropped big songs, big albums, does big shows, and look what happened.
Shout out to Everything 420. It's like the Amazon for everything that you need to get lifted. Whatever your vibe is, their app makes it super easy for you to shop for your next sesh. Shipping is fast, the packaging is super low-key, and they're always running deals. Tap into the app and use code NOJUMPER to get a little something off. Shout out to Everything 420.